We're back for our UFC Vancouver best bets here on the channel. Main evented, obviously, by Reinier de Ridder and Brendan Allen in the middleweight division. But, of course, we have our 5 best bets for this card. And, folks, before we get into the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more MMA content here on Greedo Plays MMA across the UFC and the PFL. Earlier in the week, we posted our full card predictions for this card between Reinier de Ridder and Brendan Allen. Again, that is linked in the description down below. Also, earlier this week or yesterday, we posted our PFL Rwanda predictions for PFL Africa number 3. Go make sure to check that out. Again, that'll be linked in the description down below. Also on the main channel, Greedo Plays daily MLB best bets, college football, NFL best bets, college basketball, and NBA best bets coming as well. Okay, let's get on now to the first of our 5 best bets for UFC Vancouver. Kicking things off with our first one, it will be Drew Dober by KO/TKO minus 110. Guys, we are looking for value in this fight anywhere. The under 2.5 rounds is at minus 150. If that falls anywhere to the minus 140-ish range, I'll tell you, completely fire on that. Instead, I'm going to look to this for now. But again, if that underline on 2.5 gets any better, I thought about going under 1.5, but I'll just take this instead. I'll be very shocked if Drew Dober doesn't knock out Kyle Prepolec. I'd be very shocked, right? For me, Kyle Prepolec, nothing against the guy. He's not all that UFC level. I know he got subbed by Benoit Saint-Denis in his last fight. I don't see Drew Dober submitting him. The last time Drew Dober got a submission victory, it's been a while. It's UFC on Fox 13 back in December of 2014. That was a card main evented by the first Junior Dos Santos Stipe Miocic fight. So it's been a while since Drew Dober's won by sub. Again, it's been over 10 years since that's happened. He's been primarily, again, just a brawler. I know when Dober came to the UFC, pretty high-level wrestler. That's what he was kind of built upon. That was what he was built as being. He's looking to knock your head off. Kyle Prepolec isn't the best grappler. We saw that in the Benoit fight, but even like outside the UFC, it's been a lot of striking out of Kyle Prepolec. I don't think he's going to win in striking exchanges with Drew Dober. I get it. Dober's chin is nowhere near what it once was. Manuel Torres fight, Matt Frivola knocked him out. Again, sandwiched in there is a knockout victory over Ricky Glenn, but Dober's chin obviously is not at 100% anymore. Hell, he's 36 years of age. This is the fight. We talked about this at the beginning of the week, though, in our predictions video. This fight was made, I believe, to get Drew Dober on the right track. Well, there's 2 reasons why this fight was made. One, to get Drew Dober a victory. The UFC likes Dober a lot. He's a company guy. This will be Dober's 26th UFC fight this Saturday. They like Dober quite a bit. They need to get him a victory after 3 straight losses to Money Moicano, Jean Silva, and Manuel Torres. Don't get me wrong, 3 very difficult fights. You look at where Manuel Torres is now, obviously, after that victory. Well, he's going to fight Grant Dawson. He hasn't won a fight since. But, he's getting a top 15 fight right away after the Drew Dober win. Jean Silva obviously lost to Diego Lopez, but a top 15 fighter. Renato Moicano fought for the belt just this year, right? Dober's fought difficult guys, and they need to get him a victory. Kind of like how the Ricky Glenn fight was. And this is kind of the comp for me. Main card fight, I believe that was an Apex card. Yes, Grant Dawson and Bobby King Green was the main event of that card. But that's kind of what the comp to this fight is, honestly. Drew Dober got Ricky Glenn, a guy who should not have been there with him. Dober was a huge favorite, and he went out there and knocked Glenn out in the first round. I believe it's approximately the same odds. Actually, Dober's an even bigger favorite for this fight against Prepolec than he was against Ricky Glenn back in 2023. And this is a Dober coming off 3 consecutive losses. So I think Dober finds that big shot against Kyle Prepolec. I think he finds the kill shot against Prepolec. Kyle Prepolec's nickname is Kill Shot. But I think Dober's going to find it in this fight. Again, Prepolec is a willing striker, but I think Dober's better. I get it. Dober's chin is not what used to be. But look at the huge downgrade in level of opponent Dober's getting, right? Moicano, Silva, Torres to Kyle Prepolec. I forgot to mention the second reason why this fight's on this card. It's because they want to get another Canadian on the card, right? I mean, when we did our predictions video, we kept track of, what's the Canadian's record on this card? I mean, there are multiple fights with no Canadian fighter on it. Look at Danny Barlow, Georgian Santos. That's American versus Brazilian. Stefan Luciano versus Ravena Oliveira. Brazil versus Brazil. Asmat Bekoyev versus UC Belgrade. That's, France versus Russia. And I could keep going on with the non-Canadian matchups. I mean, they were struggling and scrapping to try to find Canadian fighters for this card. Obviously, they found them in the 4 big fights of the night, but they struggled to find Canadians up on or try to fill up that undercard in the prelims. So that's why Prepolec is here, and they decided to use this Prepolec spot on the card by getting Drew Dober a huge victory. That's exactly what's going to happen here, man. Drew Dober is going to send Kyle Prepolec, I believe, to the Shadow Realm. Has Kyle Prepolec ever been knocked out? No. Has he ever fought anybody like Drew Dober, though? No. Benoit's the exception, but I mean, Benoit went out there and did get the finish as well. I get it. Benoit subbed Prepolec, but he was beating his ass before he subbed him too. And again, there was some takedowns involved and whatnot. But again, Prepolec has not fought anybody in the level of Drew Dober. And it's not like Prepolec's some, rising star who's only getting better. Guys, Kyle Prepolec's 36. He's the same age as Drew Dober. I got to go with Dober here to easily win this fight. I'm going to go Drew Dober by TKO. Again, this can happen from the first minute of the fight all the way until the 15th or the 14th minute of the fight. Does not matter when. I'm going to go Drew Dober to win the fight by first round knockout. Again, watch out for the under potentially if you get it at a better line. Prepolec, big knockout guy. Dober, obviously, big knockout guy. I don't mind that either. But for now, again, the best bet I could find for this fight is Drew Dober by TKO. Again, my original prediction at the beginning of the week was Drew Dober first round knockout. I'm going to go again by KO/TKO anytime, -110 for Drew Dober. Next up, let's go to the under. 2.5 rounds here for a matchup between Danny Barlow and Jordan Santos. Now, I was looking for value in this fight as well because I think Danny Barlow is going to run right through Jordan Santos. And the easiest way that you can find this out essentially is by watching Jordan Santos' one and only fight so far in the UFC on a prelims card for the first Pereira Ankalaev card. Joe Rogan was oohing and ahhing watching Ozzy Diaz fight. And Ozzy Diaz is in a very competitive scrap with Jordan Santos. But the thing I will say about that fight is, if we get anything close to what Jordan Santos versus Ozzy Diaz was in March of this year, somebody's going to get knocked out. If we get anything close to that fight for this fight with Barlow and Santos, somebody's going to get knocked out. Barlow hits very hard, and we've seen that throughout the course of Barlow's UFC career already. I mean, look at the Josh Quinlan fight. Again, that is a prolonged beatdown that Barlow puts on Quinlan. That fight ends early in the third round. We've seen it outside the UFC, and we saw it when Danny Barlow was getting into the UFC, again with the first round knockout victory. Again, he's got a heavy left hand, and at the same time, there's a potential Danny Barlow can get knocked out too. Okay, watch Danny Barlow versus Sam Patterson. Sam Patterson gives Barlow his first ever professional MMA loss as Patterson flatlines him 3 minutes into the fight. Now, does Jordan Santos have that type of one-punch knockout power? Not really. I've actually never seen Jordan Santos knock anybody out because, it doesn't exist. I don't entirely know how Santos got his shot on the Contender Series in the first place. I know why he's in the UFC, and well-deserved. He should be in the UFC. He beat Will Curie on the Contender Series. He's a plus 300 something underdog on that Contender Series fight, and he got in because he won. I mean, this is a guy who had 2 years off, Thunder Fight champion, and he somehow beat Will Curie. Now here he is in the UFC. But I mean, you can tell what they think of Jordan Santos by giving him an Ozzy Diaz matchup in his first UFC fight, right? I mean, Jordan Santos was a bad booking away from being an Atiba Gutierrez victim, Danny Barlow hits like a truck. I think Barlow should be able to knock this guy out in the first round. Regardless, though, we have a lot of time to get this. I mean, we have 12 and a half minutes to get a finish. So if it is that type of, prolonged beating that Barlow put on Josh Quinlan back in Anaheim last year or 2 years ago, it's fine. Again, eventually Barlow should find that finish. Jordan Santos, I would not be relying nor banking on this guy to get you that finish. No slight on him. It's just, I've watched Santos fight. It's a lot of volume. Watch him fight Ozzy Diaz. I mean, there's over 270 combined significant strikes in that fight, and neither guy gets dropped once. Jordan Santos wins the first round, but then drops rounds 2 and 3. He just doesn't hit the hardest, but he is going to try to overwhelm you with volume. My point, though, is, a couple things here. Santos fights this fight against Barlow like he did against Ozzy Diaz. I think Santos probably gets chinned eventually, right? The amount of risks he took in that fight, the way he's just kind of trying to move forward and leaving himself to get hit. I think if you fight Danny Barlow like that, I think Barlow beats you. On the flip side, right, if Barlow eats that many shots, I think Santos eventually finds the knockout too, right? Don't get me wrong. I 100% expect Danny Barlow to get the victory, but if Barlow eats that many shots from Santos, I mean, we just saw his chin. I mean, we have never really seen the Barlow chin tested that much. And obviously, Patterson just hit him with a big shot because, as much as I can say the slugfest, it was a slugfest because Josh Quinlan, it was more of just Barlow beating Quinlan down, and Quinlan would have, huge, outbursts and big moments. But entirely, for the most part, it was just Danny Barlow winning that fight and eventually getting the finish in the third round. We had never seen the chin tested just yet at a Barlow, not like we saw that in the Nikolai Vedektinov fight, because Vedektinov and Barlow just kind of stood in front of each other and did nothing for 15 minutes, and Barlow won a very close decision. I thought he did deserve to win, but I think in this fight between Barlow and Santos, We see someone going down. I fully expect it to be Jordan Santos, because again, if you've seen Jordan Santos, he doesn't do anything particularly that well. He doesn't wow you at all. He gets hit quite a bit, and I think if Barlow hits him like Ozzy Diaz hit him in his last fight in March, I expect Santos to eventually go down. I know, again, Ozzy Diaz did have a knockout past, did have a past of a bunch of knockouts, but I think we see a finish here in front of a crowd. There should be more people in the building in Vancouver than there was for that first fight on the prelims back in Vegas, because again, you know how those Vegas crowds operate for pay-per-view fights. I think this is a pretty easy Danny Barlow first round knockout, but regardless, again, we have 12 and a half minutes to get a finish here. I think eventually it will happen. Give me the under 2.5 rounds in the Danny Barlow Jordan Santos fight, minus 145 on the odds. We move on now to our third best bet of the video, and we go to our biggest underdog pick of the day, our biggest plus money pick of the day. Hear me out. Give me Aori Qileng. Now, this is probably the bet I have the least confidence in, so just take this with a grain of salt and don't, put all your money on the Mongolian murderer in Aori Qileng, but I do think we get an Aori Qileng victory here. Plus 140 again for the Mongolian murderer this weekend. I was very surprised, on Sunday when I found out this fight was on the main card. I still don't understand it. Does Cody Gibson have Canadian roots I don't know about? I don't think Aori Qileng's any bit Canadian, because I'm pretty sure still trains in China, and I'm pretty sure Cody Gibson, was born in he's born in Oklahoma, but he trains in San Luis Obispo. So I don't know where the tie into Canada is at all. What I do know is I think the UFC is expecting a pretty good fight if they're putting it on the main card above Charles Jourdain and Davy Grant. Yeah, you heard me right. Charles Jourdain, Davy Grant's on the undercard. And hell, Hyung-Sung Park just main evented an Apex card. He's fighting Bruno Silva on this card, who just got styled on his last couple fights against Josh Van and Manu Kopp. But still, regardless, Manel Kopp. Regardless, those fights are undercard fights. They put Cody Gibson and Aori Qileng on the main card. What? Why? They're expecting something. I'm serious. We gotta dig deeper into this whole equation. The UFC is expecting something big to happen here. I think it's an Aori Qileng victory. Now, I did pick prediction at the beginning of the week, and I'm still kind of sticking by that. I think they're expecting somewhat of a slugfest, I think. Guys, here's my theory about this fight. And I think plus 140 is great value, too, for a fight that should be a toss-up, all right? This should be a coin flip about who's going to win this fight. But hear me out here, right? Look at these two fighters. Aori Qileng, he's going to look to press forward. He's primarily a striker. He's 3-4 in the UFC. His last fight was a loss to Raul Rosas, which, again, Raul Rosas is very good, but it's just the fashion that he lost. It wasn't all that eventful. Rosas put him on his back, and Aori Qileng actually did win the second round in that fight when Raul Rosas wasn't able to take him down. That's my whole point of this too, right? If Aori Qileng can keep the fight standing, he should win. I mean, the one round that he fought against Rosas in the Sphere that was on the feet, he won. Cody Gibson's not a good striker. I mean, that's pretty obvious in my opinion. He's nothing special on the feet. Primary grappler, he will get into slugfest that time on the feet, but he just gets outpowered because Cody Gibson just doesn't throw very hard. Go back and watch his fight on the Ultimate Fighter finale fight back in Boston in August of 2023 against Brad Katona. Both those guys are slugging it out on the feet, but the problem for Gibson is he's just not landing all that much, and Katona's landing way more, and obviously Brad Katona wins. It wins fight of the night, but Katona does more damage, and he gets the nod. Right? Gibson's wins in the UFC in the second stint have all been via grappling. Brian Kelleher took him down, got an arm triangle choke. Chad Anheliger took him down and held him down in a very boring decision. Fights in the main card, UFC's expecting something fun. There's going to be a lot of pressure, I believe, on Cody Gibson to stay on the feet and deliver a type of fight against Aori Qileng like he did against Brad Katona. That's my theory here. And if Cody Gibson has to fight that style of fight, I believe the Mongolian murderer is going to win. Now, is Aori Qileng, does he hold up to the nickname? Not really. I will be honest with you here. Aori Qileng has one finish in the UFC. It was his second or third ever UFC fight, his first ever victory against Cameron Else. He finished him in the first round. Every other fight, actually, he's been the one getting knocked out. No, he only has one knockout loss. It's to Aman Zahabi in Canada, who we're going to talk about. Oh, spoilers. We're going to talk about him in a second. I think we get an Aori Qileng win. Again, stylistically for me, I think Aori Qileng's going to keep the fight standing, and I think he can win. Again, the UFC has kept this on the main card, and Aori Qileng's losses, too, are actually not bad. I mean, you look at the early losses for him, and those were at 125 pounds. He's now at 135, and he's been a much better fighter at 135, right? Lost 2 fights at 125 to kick off his UFC tenure in Jacksonville against Jeff Molina, and then a loss to Cody Durden. Tough fights, man. At 135, Qileng is a 3-2 fighter with losses to Aman Zahabi, who's about to fight Marlon Vera. Guys, Aman Zahabi's talking about title fights, and he's not that out there to talk about that. He should talk about a title fight, and we'll get to that in a second. But Qileng's losses at 135 are Zahabi, and by the way, a fight he was favored to win, and then Raul Rosas Jr. Those are the guys' 2 losses so far at 135. His wins, Cameron Ellis, Jay Parent, Johnny Munoz. Still though, you can, like, Cody Gibson kind of fits in that category of fighter, right? Nothing all that impressive. Qileng, again, doesn't entirely fight like the nickname suggests. You know, Bruce Buffer, I assume he definitely will be at this card because he wasn't at the last one. I assume Buff's going to get really excited for this. You know, the Mongolian murderer. Like, you know, that's just, like, that's what Buff does, you know? And Qileng, I think, is going to walk Cody Gibson down, and I think he's going to see a lot of success striking-wise. Qileng's defensive grappling, not that bad. I think just he's run into the wrong guys. Raul Rosas, he kind of fought off takedowns against Johnny Munoz. And also, guys, Gibson's just old. He's 38, about to be 39. Like, and at 135 pounds, that doesn't usually bode too well. But Qileng's still fairly young, 32 years of age. I'm going to go with the Chinese fighter here. I'm going to go with Inner Mongolia's own in Qileng to go out there and pick up a huge victory over Cody Gibson on the main card. On to our 4th best bet of the video. Here it is. Oh, that doesn't seem right. Hold on. There we go. Aman Zahabi money line. I mean, is this not crazy? Look at the resemblance. Like, holy crap. Like, if you showed 2 random people, like, if you showed a random person on the street these 2 graphics, you think they're the same. Like, they think this is the same guy. Is it not crazy? Sorry, I thought I had to throw Ariel Helwani in there for a second. Aman Zahabi money line this weekend, guys. He's not losing to Cheeto Vera. Okay, I know Vera, you know, in the media has talked about, you know, how he's focused now, right? He's ready to go on that chase again to potentially become a world champion, and he's motivated now in the sport. I don't think anything's going to fix the way he fights, though. And I think now that Cheeto's so figured out, in my opinion, I don't think he's going to see success against top-level guys. And calling Aman Zahabi a top-level guy is kind of insane. But Zahabi, to a sense here, is calling his shot to fight for the belt soon. Which sounds crazy. Like, if you were to tell me, hell, before Zahabi's fight against Qileng in Canada in June of 2023, that 2 years later this guy would be fighting potentially for the belt or, like, making his way towards the belt after a Jose Aldo victory, I would have called you crazy. But Aman Zahabi has not lost since 2019. It's been 6 years since this guy has lost, and he lost a fight to Vince Morales back on May 4th, 2019. He hasn't lost since. He's put together now 6 consecutive victories, one over Draco Rodriguez, Ricky Tercios, Qileng, Javid Basharat is a huge dog, Pedro Munoz, and Jose Aldo Jr., and now he tries to tack on Marlon Cheeto Vera to that long list of guys. And again, Zahabi's in the media saying, okay, well, Merab's about to fight Jan, he's probably going to beat Jan, and now you're looking at so many potential rematches that Merab has in the weight class. I mean, O'Malley already beat twice. He's already beaten Umar. Sandhagen's already beat. Song Yadong's available. Mario Bautista's available. Other than that, I mean, look at the rankings. Okay, Figueiredo, he's already beat Cejudo. If Zahabi gets Cheeto, that gets rid of Cheeto in the rankings. So ultimately, again, from Zahabi's perspective, you're thinking, okay, well, Merab fights so active. He's very active out there. He takes down Jan. The only other guys in the weight class who have not fought Merab in the top 10 if Zahabi were to win this week would be Zahabi, Mario Bautista, Song Yadong. And again, if you're Zahabi, well, maybe Umar's probably going to beat Bautista. And maybe Umar gets another shot, but he's probably have to win one more. So that kind of gets rid of Mario Bautista. Suga's probably going to fight Song Yadong. That could get rid of Song Yadong. It's not that crazy to think Zahabi could actually wind up in the next title shot. Or in a potential fight against probably, Figueiredo for the next shot. Like, he's legitimately right there. Because it's to a point where if Merab wasn't going to fight Piotr Jan, he was going to fight Stevenson Figueiredo. Yes, Figueiredo coming off a Montel Jackson victory was probably going to find himself loser in 2 out of his last 3 fights, was probably going to find himself in a title fight if Jan, say, just didn't exist. Or here's this. What if Jan drops out? of the Merab fight, and they need a main event for the final pay-per-view of the year, who steps in? It's probably Figueiredo, is it not? Batista's going to fight Umar, so that can't happen. You can't go Suga. You can't go Sandhagen. Song, maybe? I mean, I'm serious. Zahabi's right there. So this is actually a huge fight for the guy. I think he beats Cheeto, guys. Cheeto's so figured out, in my opinion. I mean, you can watch one Cheeto Vera fight, and you can kind of get the gist on how to beat him, right? I know Jose Aldo did drop Zahabi in their fight in Montreal, Quebec, Canada in May. I understand that. If Zahabi just stays out of the big shot and stays out of range of getting put down, he will win. If he can just use this jab effectively, if he can just put something out there and not let Cheeto fire and, hit that one big shot, Zahabi's winning. Oh, 100% Zahabi's going to win this fight. If he just stays out of the big power shot, he'll win. And sure, that's like every Cheeto Vera fight, Dominic Cruz fight, Rob Font fight, Frankie Edgar fight, Corey Sandhagen fight, that Sean O'Malley fight, Gibson Figueiredo fight. They're all the same thing. If you can stay out the big shot from Cheeto, you're going to win. But what did a lot of those guys not do? They obviously got rocked eventually. They got hit with a big shot. Again, I think the pathway and the blueprint to beat Cheeto's out there now. Guys, Marlon Vera's been a loser in 3 out of his last 4 fights since getting that big win over Dominic Cruz in a fight that he was losing, by the way. He gets beat by Corey Sandhagen in the 5-round main event. He beats Pedro Munoz. They gift him a title shot because, we need O'Malley to get his win back. Sean beats him. And then he fights Divas in Abu Dhabi last year, and he loses. Well, here we are now. You're 1-3 in your last 4 fights, and you get Aman Zahabi, who has put together the most momentum of his entire mixed martial arts career. Dare I say he's fighting down? It's a downgrade after his last opponent. He just beat Jose Aldo, who was looking good early in that fight. But what happened? Zahabi breaks Jose Aldo in the 3rd round. It's crazy. Now, again, should have Aldo won the fight? Maybe. Look at the 2nd round. This should have probably gone to Aldo. Or 1st round probably should have gone to Aldo. 2nd round, whatever. It's fine. But Zahabi, I mean, there is no doubt who wins the 3rd. Even though Aldo drops Zahabi early in the 3rd round, and Aldo's, he's got it won. He's got the hands up. Like, he thinks he's done it. Zahabi fights back, and Zahabi dominates the last 3 minutes of that round and easily takes the 3rd round against Jose Aldo Jr. The cardio is going to play a factor in this fight because you just need Zahabi to keep throwing volume. If he can just keep landing against Cheeto and not get hit with something big, Zahabi wins. So I'm going to go Aman Zahabi to win this fight against Marlon Cheeto Vera. Again, the biggest fight of Zahabi's career, and people are clowning him for talking about a title fight. He's not crazy to say that. He's really not. I mean, if I'm Zahabi, this is what I'm doing after I win this fight. If I'm Aman Zahabi, I'm winning, and I am begging to get on that same card as Merab and Piotr Jan. I'm begging to get on that card. I'm calling out Figueiredo for that card if I'm him. Easiest fight, again, not to say Figgy's bad, but easiest fight in the top 8 out of guys who have not yet to fight, who have not lost yet to Merab. So if I'm Zahabi, I'm winning this fight against Marlon Vera. I'm getting on the mic and saying, Divas and Figueiredo, you just won last week. You look great. Let's get one more fight in 2025. Let's get on the pay-per-view card. Winner gets Merab Dvalishvili. There you go. That's all you need to do. That's what I'm doing if I'm Aman Zahabi. I know he's not the most active guy, but you're 37. You're actually making a title push right now. This is your chance. So I'd call it Figueiredo because it's a very winnable fight for Zahabi and a fight that actually picks Zahabi to win. Guys, there's a chance Aman Zahabi, if he does the right things, could find himself in a title fight in March of next year. I'm serious about that. So, just saying. Or maybe the next Canadian pay-per-view, there's a chance Zahabi's the headliner against Merab Dvalishvili. That sounds insane. There's a chance, though, March in Toronto. Let's say that's where they go next. Merab Dvalishvili, Aman Zahabi main event. That's a legitimate thing that could happen. Just saying. If Aman plays this right, he's fighting for the belt next. Or in 2 fights. We'll see. Final best bet of the video. 2-leg parlay. Reinier de Ridder, and you might be, looking at the second leg. Who's this? Patrick Ochime from PFL. Yes, we're going to mix in some PFL Africa here. So again, if you want to see my full predictions for PFL Africa, posted that yesterday. That's linked in the description down below. Covered all 11 fights for, again, PFL's 3rd card over in Africa. This one in Rwanda. So the first leg of the parlay is going to be Reinier de Ridder. I think Reinier de Ridder easily beats Brendan Allen. It's a fight that I believe is so easy for Reinier de Ridder. Stylistically, he should be able to out-grapple Brendan Allen. Striking-wise, he should be able to outstrike Brendan Allen. I am all over RDR in this fight. Is this going to put him in a position to fight for a world championship in his next one? I don't know. I really don't know. I think it's going to be kind of tough for him to get that next title shot, I will be honest. But huge spot right now for Reinier de Ridder, and I think he should dominate Brendan Allen. I mean, yes, Brendan Allen beat Marvin Vettori, but Anthony Hernandez out-grappled him. Nasser Yunimava out-grappled him. I mean, I don't even think Brendan Allen beat Chris Curtis. I thought Chris Curtis won that second fight. To me, Brendan Allen should be a loser in 3 of his last 4 fights. Reinier de Ridder should easily handle him. I like what RDR does on the ground. I love the knees RDR throws. And like I said earlier about Aman Zahabi kind of going downwards in opponents after beating Jose Aldo and going to Chito Vera, Reinier de Ridder just beat Robert Whittaker, who was ranked, 4th when he fought him? And now he's fighting number 10, number 9, Brendan Allen. A guy who was fighting on the undercards and the prelims of his last fight card. I get it was a pay-per-view, but still, and it did win Fight of the Night against Vettori, but, you know, like, it's just, I think this is a huge step down in competition for RDR. I predicted RDR to win this fight by 3rd round TKO at the beginning of the week, and I stand by that. I think Reinier de Ridder easily takes Brendan Allen here. I just don't know what Brendan Allen really offers him, in my opinion. Like, I said this at the beginning of the week, and I still have not found that answer to the question I proposed when I made the full card predictions video. Where does Brendan Allen win this fight? Where is Brendan Allen better than Reinier de Ridder? And I still don't know the answer, because there isn't one I can find. It's the truth. It's the truth. So, I'm going to go with Reinier de Ridder in this fight. Second leg of the parlay, we're going to go with Patrick Ochime. So, Reinier de Ridder sitting at about a minus 200 favorite. Patrick Ochime sitting at around that same mark. I think he might be like minus 190-ish. He's the main event of PFL Rwanda. So, we're going to take the 2 main event fights. Again, PFL's on Saturday as well. It's on Saturday morning, though, here in the United States, obviously being on prime time over in Kigali, Rwanda. I'm taking Patrick Ochime to win the main event against Abdul Razak Sankata. Sankata is a fighter who hits very hard, but does not have the best record. He's 7-4. Sankata, as I said yesterday on our PFL Africa predictions, has the best knockout in PFL Africa history, and yes, we're going to bet against this guy. He knocked out Shajik Yamba with a brutal head kick, but Patrick Ochime is the poster child, essentially, for PFL Africa. He was in the first ever main event on PFL Africa. He's the second ever main event as well for a solely dedicated PFL Africa card. He is a kind of a funky striker because everything he throws is from the outside. It's all, like that. It's unconventional, but it works. And Ochime hits like a truck too. He doesn't have the most, he has 4 knockouts. Didn't knock out his last opponent in Mohamed Kamara, but dominates the bout. As long as he doesn't get knocked out against Sankata, he'll win. So trust me, like, the comp I can make for that, it's kind of like, I don't know, Ochime is supposed to win the fight, but I guess Zahabi versus Chito Vera, as long as Ochime doesn't get chinned and head kicked by Sankata, he'll win that fight. So I love this 2-leg parlay. Again, we're going to take both of the main event winners, in my opinion, this week in PFL and in the UFC, and we're just going to put them in a parlay, and we get plus 120 odds. I mean, sign me up for this. Again, both of these fights are very winnable for both guys. I very well expect Reinier de Ridder to win, and I think Patrick Ochime continues his momentum, obviously, in the PFL as well. Again, if you want to see my full fight breakdown for Ochime versus Sankata, again, go check out my PFL predictions. Again, those were posted yesterday on the channel, and they will be linked in the description down below as well. So again, 2-leg parlay, RDR, Patrick Ochime, give me plus 120 for our 2-leg parlay to finish out the night. Folks, thank y'all for watching our 5 best bets for UFC Vancouver. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back again next week for UFC 321 from Abu Dhabi. Main event, Tom Aspinall, Cyril Gane. We'll have a bunch of content over on this channel. Obviously, Greedo plays MMA for that pay-per-view. So make sure to go check that out on Sunday, full card predictions. Folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba forever.